More at paulharrell.com.
For his weekly segment, we now have back with us Mr. David Crow. David is from the Arkansas Tea Party Alliance. He's also the chairman of the Faulkner County Tea Party. Calling in. Are you calling in from Faulkner County, David?
We are. I'm calling from the old master bedroom here.
All right.
From Faulkner County, yeah.
Live.
Sitting on a brand new couch. Hey, man. How is that baby? How's that new baby?
Oh, wow. She's amazing. She's obviously...
Absolutely.
All this is, it's cliche, but it's also true. Life-changing, amazing, a miracle. Me and the missus are still trying to figure out kind of what a new baseline for normal is, you know what I mean? Moving forward. But
I so know this. Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes,
and so
do.
we're figuring that out. We'll be parents for 2 weeks tomorrow at around 11 o'clock.
Wonderful. Well, I hope you guys are getting some sleep. I remember the first. Yes.
Well, I mean, I'm getting some sleep. I mean, I'm up with her sometimes. We're doing this 3-hour thing. Trying to keep her on a pretty tight schedule. But all the sleep that I do get, because I don't have the anatomy that's useful for feeding. All of the sleep that I am getting is actually pretty guilty. I'm like, people are like, how are you sleeping? Well, I mean, I've lost some sleep, but not near as much as she has. So I feel pretty guilty about the whole thing.
Oh, that's okay.
All right.
That's right. You don't have the parts you need for taking care of that every 3 hour.
Yeah, that's
deal,
right.
So
and we don't believe in transitions, and I don't self-identify. Like I feel like I should have the equipment. I'm really sorry. Okay, so David Crow is with us. It's the Arkansas Tea Party Alliance Convention. We want to remind you guys of this. It's the third annual convention. It's September the 16th from 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock. It's a Saturday. It's in Little Rock. And we want you guys to go buy tickets online and plan to be at this event. You don't have to be a Tea Party member to go to it. You probably want to be a limited government conservative, though, right, David?
Absolutely. And so let me point out something. I made a mistake about 3 years ago when we had our first convention. We invited Asa Hutchinson, and he is not a conservative, and so he will not be at our event.
Wow.
And he still had our eyes, pulled over for that first round. But, man, I tell you what, this guy has gone to the other side. Mm-hmm. I understand he has an apartment with MSNBC and CNN, and he is a regular on their shows these days. That is really serious. Kindred spirits there.
Yeah,
man.
and there might be some people that would say that criticism of him is unfair, but I really don't think so, because if it may just show a naivete or a cluelessness from him, because these liberal outfits, they want Republicans to come on the air and criticize conservatives. That's their function. Mm-hmm. That's their function, mm-hmm. and that's what Asa Hutchinson is serving when he's doing those things.
Yeah, he's propping them up for their agenda, mm-hmm. and they're very quick to say Republican Asa Hutchinson from the southern state of Arkansas.
Yeah,
and it is really regretful that he has chosen to take this path. I do not understand this comment that he made about Bozeman and Cotton. Does anybody believe that those two guys would throw the citizens of Arkansas under the bus and push for this Medicaid block grant for expanded coverage? They will have to say that to me before I'll believe it.
Yeah, me too. That's kind of where I am. And he says in his statement he released via email, now it has been announced that the Senate bill does not have the votes. I look forward to discussing any future action with both Senator Bozeman and Senator Cotton. They have provided significant help in getting changes in the Senate bill that are more favorable to Arkansas, and am grateful for their support. I've reached out to Senator Cotton's office just to say, hey, because he went on MSNBC. We played it last hour, and he took total credit, he gave them credit for the block grant idea for expanding coverage, which is for able to work adults. So it's very strange. But here's the thing: when Tom Cotton, who has a very the highest he's got the highest national profile of anybody right now from Arkansas, and when he goes on these shows, I don't feel embarrassed. I don't feel like he's being used by the liberals to,
not at all.
Because he'll go on NBC or MSNBC,
right.
and he advocates for the platform, but but Asa doesn't. When Asa's going on this, he comes across as, to me, just not representing the average Arkansan at all.
No, not at all. And regretfully, he's all of.
The maintenance of a free society is a very difficult and complicated thing, and it requires a self-denying ordinance of the most extreme kind. It requires a willingness to put up with temporary evils on the basis of the subtle and sophisticated understanding that if you step in to do something about them, you not only may make them worse, but you will spread your tentacles and get bad results elsewhere.
I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. We lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
You're listening to the Paul Harrell Program, brought to you by Conduit Media Group.
Hey, folks, welcome to the program. Thanks so much for being with us. My name is Paul. Congratulations, you have found the intersection of conservative ideas and reality, where we are building a liberty machine. So glad that you could join us today. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, we'll be talking with the chairman of the Baxter County Republican Party. Mr. Richard Castor will be back with us. We also have quite a bit of information to get through. Some very interesting developments with a local city here in Jonesboro passing an ordinance last night to urge Governor Asa Hutchinson to call a special session to take more money from us by creating a new internet sales tax. We'll have that information for you probably next hour sometime. But before we do anything, I want to read a few tweets that have come out. It appears that Senator Tom Cotton has sat down with Talk Business and Politics and granted an interview. And I haven't listened to this interview. All I am going on right now is the tweets from Talk Business and Politics on Twitter. Talk Business and Politics tweeting 42 minutes ago that Senator Tom Cotton says that after lunch meeting with Donald Trump, GOP senators to make another run at the replacement bill. So it's no longer just the repeal bill. They're going to try again to vote on Monday, that according to reports, vote on Monday at a replacement bill and a repeal bill for Obamacare. If you go over to thehill.com, headline, Trump to GOP senators, cancel your recess. President Trump told GOP senators at the White House on Wednesday they should cancel their August recess, not leave town until repealing Obamacare. Quote, we shouldn't leave town until this is complete, he said. We should hammer this out and get it done. We can repeal, but we should repeal and replace, Donald Trump said. Frankly, I don't think we should leave town unless we have a health insurance plan, unless we can give the people great health care, because we're close, we're very close. Now, to me, it doesn't appear that Donald Trump is not open to just repealing it, but he's saying, hey, let's push this through, let's get this done. We still know that this bill, in many regards, is an Obamacare light bill. It is. However, it does do some things that Governor Asa Hutchinson still can't support. As I told you yesterday, to the left of Mitch McConnell, to the left of Paul Ryan, he's still worried about a cost shift to the states. And that brings me to my next Talk Business and Politics tweet. If you look down here, let's see. This is. Let me read these next two tweets, okay? Talk Business and Politics tweeting, quote, Senator Tom Cotton says it will be a revived effort to find 50 GOP votes in the Senate. Tweaks to be considered starting tonight. Talk Business and Politics at Senator Tom Cotton said one breakthrough with GOP caucus is finding more Medicaid money for certain states. Talk Business and Politics reporting Tom Cotton saying that Arkansas, quote, may, end quote, be one of the states that they're looking for more Medicaid money to, I don't know, sweeten the deal. Now, if that's the case, that would kind of signal to me, if we're talking about a GOP caucus breakthrough, that Arkansas votes are dependent on that extra money. Possibly, or it could just mean that other people's votes are dependent on it. I don't know. I'm confused. I want to hear what the interview says. That Senator Tom Cotton interview will be up later this afternoon over at talkbusiness.net. Now, at the same time, I want to give you those reports, but I also want to give you the report from the Democrat Gazette. Arkansas's two senators say repeal health care law now, replace later. Right? But Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson disagrees. Congress should repeal the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act now and come up with a replacement later, Arkansas's two U.S. senators said Tuesday. In interviews, Senator John Boozman and Tom Cotton said that they're ready to vote for legislation that would phase out the Affordable Care Act over a 2-year period. But a fellow Republican, Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson, said Congress should not vote to eliminate the program until an alternative is ready. Quote, it is important to know where we are going with a replacement bill at the same time we repeal, he said in a written statement. That is because Governor Asa Hutchinson is not really against Obamacare. Certainly, you could make the statement he's not as against Obamacare as Senator Tom Cotton and Senator John Boozman are, highlighting really a brand of republicanism here in Arkansas that, quite frankly, is not republicanism. Governor Asa Hutchinson, not a platform Republican, and when the chips are all on the table, he folds. That's just what he does. Did it with religious freedom. He did it with Obamacare. He did it with the Second Amendment this last go-around, in my opinion, taking credit of getting the credit from the NRA at the same time having a bill filed that undermines the very bill the NRA supported. I mean, big-ticket conservative issue after conservative issue. This goes on and on and on and on and on. Progressivism is the word in Little Rock, is the word when it comes to what's going on at the governor's mansion. Now, here's the thing. And I just want to say this because I know we have conservatives and grassroots people listening. And I know you know this. The 17th Amendment is something I'm not a fan of. 17th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution ended the election of U.S. senators by the state legislatures. But we don't have that now. We went to a statewide election, and that's how we elect Senator Boozman. That's how we elect Senator Cotton. Senator Boozman and Senator Cotton are under no obligation to bail out the non-platform Republicans in this state. They are under no obligation to be loyal to their decisions that were based on liberalism and big government and dependency, and a Republican state that implemented and continues to implement at all costs Barack Obama's signature domestic achievement. I'm sorry. These two U.S. senators, Senator Cotton, Senator Boozman, are under no obligation to be more loyal to a very select few, a minority of Republicans who happen to be in leadership versus, first of all, the rest of elected Republicans in this state and the people, the registered Republicans, the independents, who in election after election after election have voted for Republicans because they want Obamacare gone. I just feel the need to point that out. And I think we should take this opportunity to register how we really feel. And one of the ways we can do that today, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen next. But I want you to go to our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/Paul Talk Show. Now, on our Facebook page, we posted this just a little bit long ago. We shared a post from Conduit for Action. So it's facebook.com/Paul Talk Show. You go to that website, and then you'll see this Conduit for Action post that we've put on the page. And it's a survey where you can create your own surveys. Conduit for Action writing, we want to know your opinion on Obamacare, its repeal efforts, and Obamacare Medicaid expansion, previously called the private option. Right? Now hang on one second, because I want to do one thing as we're talking here, because I know we've got the Facebook Live video going. It's now, for those of you listening at paulharrell.com, the link is already posted in the comment section on the website at paulharrell.com. It's already there. Okay? I'm going to post it right now for those of you. Now, it's already on the Facebook page, just so you know. So all you got to do, if you're watching the Facebook Live video, you just scroll up and it's already right there. But if you can't do that for some reason, I just posted it in the comments section. Okay? So there it is. There's the link to the survey for those of you watching via Facebook Live. So you can click on that and take it. It's Survey Monkey. It's where you can make your own survey, Survey Monkey. Now, for those of you watching, you can now see the survey. We're going to take the survey online. Okay? Here we go. It's very simple. Question number 1. You guys can all do this. Go to facebook.com/Paul Talk Show. Take this survey right now. Question number 1. Do you support or oppose Obamacare? Joe, I would like for you to select oppose. Question number 2. Do you support or oppose Obamacare Medicaid expansion in Arkansas? Previously, the private option, now called Arkansas Works. Joe, I'd like for you to select oppose. Thank you. Question number 3. Do you support or oppose Governor Asa Hutchinson's plans to keep Obamacare Medicaid expansion? Arkansas Works. I oppose that effort. Question number 4. Scroll down a little bit. I can't read that. I'm actually reading it. It seems like my graphic is in the way. There we go. Do you believe that health insurance is a right and should be paid for by the government, taxpayers, if the poor or uninsured cannot afford it? Okay, zoom in here. Scroll down here. Do I believe it's a right? Okay, here are the options. It is a right. We need socialized single-payer health care insurance. All right, I'm not going to select that one. It is not a right. Option number 2, it is not a right. It should be treated like any other form of insurance. I think that may be good. Number 3, it is not a right. The elderly, disabled, and children should be covered, though, but not able-bodied working-age adults, Medicaid expansion population. Go with option 3 there. Because we have plenty of prosperity if we will just get our priorities straight about taking care of those who truly can't take care of themselves. All right, question number 5. What is your position on the repeal of Obamacare? Option is repeal, repeal now and replace later, repeal and replace at the same time, don't repeal, not sure. I'm going to go with straight-up repeal right now. The number one reason is because I don't buy this business. We voted for repeal over and over and over again, and the big government establishment, non-platform type Republicans, they added, we also heard you say replace. Mm-hmm. Oh, I know you said repeal, but you also said replace, didn't you? Didn't you also say replace? Mm-hmm, yeah, that's exactly right. No. It's the insurance companies and all these special interests that got addicted to federal money that put that little bug in your ear. I'll replace it, too, at the same time. I'm going to make sure I replace it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, got to make sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what the voters have said. They added that because they couldn't stand the liberal criticism. What are you going to replace it with? I don't know. What do you replace a dumpster fire with? Joe, what do you replace a dumpster fire with? Oh, what are we going to replace this dumpster fire with? A bigger dumpster fire, yeah. That's what they want. It's exactly right. No. You just put the fire out. And that's all we're trying to do. That's all we're asking them to do. That's all we voted for them to do. And again, I want to say this. Arkansas Republicans who did this with the Democrats, you guys made this possible. And now Asa is complaining to D.C. that you now got to lie in your bed that you slept in. And I just want you to know that the 17th Amendment exists. These guys are under no obligation. Tom Cotton and John Bozeman under no obligation to help out the boneheaded decisions that have been made in this state. And I'm telling you something, if the more Medicaid expansion continues, the more we are going to see Asa Hutchinson saying, well, we got to cut the budget. The more this happens, and the more politicized it's going to get, because they're going to pay for it with our money that's supposed to go to education. They're going to pay for it with the money that's supposed to go to roads. And these guys have such hubris, they will never come to you when they need more money and say, we got to have more money for a welfare program for able-to-work adults. No, because that's not something they can demagogue. But they can say, oh, you don't support the kids so we can get more money for education? They'll siphon it out of our other priorities. Oh, and they're already doing it. You got Dan Douglas saying, well, maybe when bridges start to collapse and people start to die on our highways, the legislature will take funding our highways more seriously. That's where our money is going. Our priorities are out of whack. We have hitched our wagon to Medicaid expansion, and now we are financially in such a situation that we can't. They don't want to admit that they've been wrong, and so we're now begging to continue welfare programs. Change our license plate from the natural state to the welfare state. Will somebody just please do that? Because that's where we are. And instead of having a governor that would lead us out of this, we have one who's begging, for more federal dollars. It's just, and it turns my stomach. And it just shows you the lack, the gap between Asa Hutchinson's version of republicanism that's been rejected in every state around us, minus Louisiana here recently. It's been rejected in Florida. It's been rejected in Georgia. It's been rejected in Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, Missouri, Oklahoma, Texas. And it's just exploiting the fact that, let's just say this, and this is just based on platform, right? There may be something in this interview that I don't know about, but let me just say this, right? Asa Hutchinson doesn't see eye to eye with John Bozeman or Tom Cotton. As much, and Asa's gone. I haven't got a response back, but I know Asa's out there giving credit to Senator Cotton. He's out there giving credit to John Bozeman for getting us the part of the bill that was getting a block grant for the expanded population. And I'm with David Crow. Until I actually hear that being said, I don't know if I can. I don't believe that. See, Asa has every incentive and inclination to try to make it look like, oh, we're all Republicans and we all agree on everything. Oh, well, we're fine. There's nothing, because, see, an agreement with somebody like Tom Cotton kind of exposes you as not being a conservative at all. Well, now, if you listen to this program, Governor Hutchinson's pretty exposed. Hey, did you submit that? Okay. All right. So then you put your name or your town in, and then your email address. Yeah, so you put the name of the town that you're from and then your email address. Now, go fill out the survey. Go fill it out, facebook.com/Paul Talk Show. Now, when you do, just so you know, put your email in. That email is not going to be used for anything, any third party, anything like that, but it will sign you up for Conduit for Action's mailing list. It will do that, but it's not going to be sold. It's not going to be given away or anything like that. 870-275-9799, facebook.com/Paul Talk Show. Fill out the survey. Let people know what you think about Obamacare in Arkansas right now. Arkansas small businesses are tired of taxes that are too high and regulations that work as obstacles to small business success. If you own a small business, it's time to take action. Now, I'm not talking about the local chambers of commerce. I'm talking about an organization that's actually run by small business owners and are fighting for small businesses right here in the state of Arkansas. They're called Conduit for Action, and they're on your side. Conduit for Action is here not to get something from the government, but to be left alone by the government. Think of them as your personal advocate for limited government at the Capitol in Little Rock. If you're tired of all the politicians talking with no results and ready for action, Start outsourcing your government affair needs with Conduit for Action. Go now to conduitforaction.org and click on Contact Us on the right side of the page. That's conduitforaction.org and stand up for small business in Arkansas.
This is ASA News, The Parrot. With breaking news from the Capitol in Little Rock. I'm Bob Maloney. There are reports circling around from politicians who are in the know, and the same phrase keeps being used. That phrase is new revenue generation. Let's go to our reporter on the ground from the Capitol, Haley Hogwash. Haley?
Thanks, Bob. Yes, it seems the more politicians I talk to, the more I hear the phrase new revenue generation. We're trying to figure out exactly what that means, but you can rest assured it will be good for the people of Arkansas.
Haley, it certainly sounds like something good. I like how the phrase uses the word generation. That makes me think this has got to be doing something positive for our children in the future. Haley?
Yes, Bob, some new developments. I've just been speaking to some people who are here and are not politicians, and they tell me the phrase new revenue generation is actually code for a new tax.
Oh, my. Well, if this is true, Haley, that would add to a growing list of new taxes that have barely made any headlines at all, so it's best not to discuss them here on ASA News, The Parrot.
Yes, Bob, I know it's sure to make government officials angry that their phrasing of the new revenue generation has been changed by the people and called a tax increase.
I would expect an announcement from Mother Government soon to set the record straight. What is the new tax? Revenue generation, Haley?
Well, this new tax, a new revenue generation would add to a growing list. First, there was a revenue generation on movies, books, and songs that people download using the internet. And next, there was the tax increase. The new revenue generation on all purchases made using the internet. And now I'm told this new revenue generation is a tax on the people's patience.
I realize the people don't like it, Haley, but specifically, what is the new tax? Revenue generation.
No, Bob, I'm telling you, according to the activists here at the Capitol who have gathered and are listening to some radio broadcast, the revenue generation is literally taxing the patience of the people of Arkansas. I'm told the less patience you have with the government
better not tax our patience.
The more they will tax your patience and the more money you will owe at a later date. I'm also told the collection method on taxing your patience will be decided in a newly formed multicolored ribbon task force.
How taxing.
PHP Parody. The Paul Harrell Program.
I don't think we played this part, but I want you to listen to this quote from Governor Asa Hutchinson yesterday on CNN, right? This is what he said. Quote, "Some wise heads need to get together and figure out the direction where Democrats and Republicans agree upon. What we have now is not workable over the long term, and it is costing too much, and we need to have more accessibility," Hutchinson said, speaking to a national CNN audience. This is from TalkBusiness.net. "So I hope that Democrats will come to the table. I hope they will participate in the next stage of the solution because we've got to change it, and we've got to have that reform, and Democrats need to be at the table to accomplish that." Governor Asa Hutchinson wants to fix Obamacare by having Democrats at the table. It gets worse every day. He gets more and more to the left every single day. People say, "Paul, are you against bipartisanship?" Okay. Yeah, when the other side wants Medicare for all, when the other side wants single-payer system, when the other side wants me and my family to have the same quality of care that the VA has, which they shouldn't, by the way, but that's what happens when the government runs things. When a third party runs your life, they don't care about quality and they don't care about cost. And that's what we're looking at here. Baxter County Republican Chairman Richard Castor joins us next. Back in a minute.
Paul Harrell, weekdays from 4 to 6. Learn more at paulharrell.com.
For his weekly segment, we now have back with us Mr. David Crow. David is from the Arkansas Tea Party Alliance. He's also the chairman of the Faulkner County Tea Party. Calling in. Are you calling in from Faulkner County, David?
We are. I'm calling from the old master bedroom here.
All right.
From Faulkner County, yeah.
Live.
Sitting on a brand new couch. Hey, man, how is that baby? How's that new baby?
Oh, wow. She's amazing. She's obviously.
Absolutely.
All this is, it's cliche, but it's also true. Life-changing, amazing, a miracle. Me and the missus are still trying to figure out kind of what a new baseline for normal is. You know what I mean? Moving forward. But
I so know this. Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes,
and so
do.
we're figuring that out. We'll be parents for 2 weeks tomorrow at around 11 o'clock.
Wonderful. Well, I hope you guys are getting some sleep. I remember the first. Yes.
Well, I mean, I'm getting some sleep. I mean, I'm up with her sometimes. We're doing this 3-hour thing. Trying to keep her on a pretty tight schedule. But all the sleep that I do get, because I don't have the anatomy that's useful for feeding. All of the sleep that I am getting is actually pretty guilty. I'm like, people are like, how are you sleeping? Well, I mean, I've lost some sleep, but not near as much as she has. So I feel pretty guilty about the whole thing.
Oh, that's okay.
All right.
That's right. You don't have the parts you need for taking care of that every 3 hour.
Yeah, that's
deal,
right.
so
and we don't believe in transitions, and I don't self-identify. Like I feel like I should have the equipment. I'm really sorry. Okay, so David Crow is with us. It's the Arkansas Tea Party Alliance Convention. We want to remind you guys of this. It's the 3rd annual convention. It's September the 16th from 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock. It's a Saturday. It's in Little Rock. And we want you guys to go buy tickets online and plan to be at this event. You don't have to be a Tea Party member to go to it. You probably want to be a limited government conservative, though, right, David?
Absolutely. And so let me point out something. I made a mistake about 3 years ago when we had our first convention. We invited Asa Hutchinson, and he is not a conservative, and so he will not be at our event.
Wow.
And he still had our eyes, pulled over for that first round. But, man, I tell you what, this guy has gone to the other side. Mm-hmm. I understand he has an apartment with MSNBC and CNN, and he is a regular on their shows these days. That is really serious. Kindred spirits there.
Yeah, and there might be some people that would say that criticism of him is unfair, but I really don't think so, because if it may just show a naivete or a cluelessness from him, because these liberal outfits, they want Republicans to come on the air and criticize conservatives. That's their function. Mm-hmm. That's their function, mm-hmm. and that's what Asa Hutchinson is serving when he's doing those things. Yeah,
he's propping them up for their agenda, mm-hmm. and they're very quick to say Republican Asa Hutchinson from.
The Paul Harrell Program.
All right, welcome back. Cue this audio up. We have this audio. We've got 2 things to get to. Go ahead and get that. But then I'll start. We're getting Richard Castor in the phone. Okay, so we got Richard Castor on the line. We're going to get to him here in just a minute. But go ahead and start with this audio, because this is Asa Hutchinson yesterday on CNN, because CNN obviously is willing to, they want a Republican governor to come on CNN and criticize Republican goals, it helps the liberal agenda because it makes CNN, oh, you're reasonable, I can talk to you. It helps CNN paint conservatives in a negative light. And Asa, he went on again today with Allison Camerata. He keeps going on MSNBC and CNN. Here it is from yesterday. Take a listen.
He tweeted, very different strategy. As I have always said, let Obamacare fail
Donald
and then
Trump's
come
tweet.
Together and do a great health care plan. Stay tuned. Which one do you support? Try to repeal it and come up with a new plan in 2 years, or simply let Obamacare, as the president says, fail and see what happens?
Well, I think that illustrates the fact that we need to let the dust settle a little bit, and some wise heads needs to get together to figure out the direction. What Democrats and Republicans agree upon is that what we have right now is not workable over the long term. It's costing too much. We need to have more accessibility. So I hope that the Democrats will come to the table. I hope that they will participate in the next stage of the solution, because we've got to change it. We've got to have that reform, and Democrats need to be at the table to accomplish that.
Stop. Joining us now to talk about this and just the entire Obamacare situation going on right now in D.C. and Arkansas, we have Richard Castor. He's the chairman of the Baxter County Republicans. Richard, welcome back to the program. What's your response to that, sir?
Thank you, Paul. I tell you, I think we have one of D.C.'s greatest swamp monsters living here in Little Rock. Just an absolute disgrace for us. You know, we need to let the dust settle. What does that even mean? That means throw our hands up and don't do anything. This is exactly why back in 2009 and 2010, when the Tea Party movement came to life, and we threw out Blanche Lincoln, we threw out Mark Pryor, we threw out Democrats across this great nation and elected so-called conservative Republicans. This is why we elected them. And first we gave them the House, and they said, oh, well, we need the Senate. Then we gave them the Senate. Well, we need the White House. Well, we gave them a bulldog in the White House now. And the establishment Republicans still won't let this go through. And I tell you, Paul, it's affecting all of us in ways we don't even see. I was talking to, I'm not allowed to say his name or the business name, and I'm sorry about that, but I was talking to a CEO of a company today based here in Arkansas that has 100 employees. They are $200,000 over their budget. We're here halfway through the year. They're $200,000 over their budget because they give health care to their employees.
Wow.
They're $200,000 over their yearly budget for that already halfway through the year. That's what's happening to Arkansas businesses across this state. And our governor is more than willing just to sit there and to let it continue.
Yeah.
And, Paul, we're at a sad place right here and right now. And it may take a great sweep of primaries across this nation to really get the results we're looking for.
I think you're right. We're talking with Richard Castor. Talk Business and Politics, Richard, has sat down with Tom Cotton. There's an interview. I haven't read it. I haven't seen it. It's supposed to be up over at talkbusiness.net at some point today. But they have a few tweets. And this tweet is interesting to me. They report that Senator Tom Cotton said one breakthrough with the GOP caucus is finding more Medicaid money for certain states. He says Arkansas may be one. We've had Governor Hutchinson begging D.C. for more money. We expanded Medicaid. We implemented Obama's policy, and now we're doing everything we can. It seems like for our leadership in this state to try to keep it. They don't want to have to go and say, look, you're not entitled to free health insurance if you're an able-to-work adult. My question to you is, do you think Senator Cotton and Senator Bozeman have any responsibility to try to make establishment Republicans here that implemented a key Democrat policy, any better? I mean, are they responsible to try to let's try to make everything okay? That question's probably phrased wrong, but do you understand the point?
No, I understand what you're saying, and I think it goes to a basic question that we as Republicans have to ask ourselves, which is: do we as a party do we fight for more people on welfare, more people on Medicaid rolls, Medicaid and Medicare, or do we want less people on welfare, less people living off of the state? And I know Senator Cotton, and I know that in his heart he believes the answer to that is we want less people living off the government, less people getting these government subsidies, and we want more people who have the ability and the dignity to earn their own paycheck and to pay for their own insurance, to pay for their own health care bills. We want that as conservatives because that is how a human really flourishes, right? That's how we become who God made us to be, which is hardworking individuals who live an honest, hardworking life, right? That's what we as conservatives want. And all we want is for the government to secure our rights and to get out of our way. We don't want the government involved in every aspect of our lives. And so if Senator Cotton or his people are listening, we absolve you of whatever responsibility you feel that you have here in the state of Arkansas to continue these programs, because we don't want them. And I promise you, if we let the free market reign, if we allow these insurance companies to compete, we'll have different health care plans that we've never even thought of. You know, before Obamacare passed in 2009, Mercy Hospitals out of Missouri was moving into Arkansas. They were about to build a location here in Baxter County. We had our insurance through them, some of the best insurance I've ever had in my entire life. But the moment it looked like Obamacare was going to pass, they left the state of Arkansas because they couldn't compete anymore. Because the only thing that these government programs do is reward these companies who are connected to the politicians who write the rules, who make up the game and allow their friends to win the game in these big corporations. And, I'm so sick of hearing these Democrats always, saying that we are just fighting for the little people, right? And that these progressives are, they're the ones that fight for the little people. We're the ones that deal with these corporations. This isn't the games we play. We're the ones who shouldn't be making deals with these big companies. We're the ones who should be fighting for everyone to have the same chance at every deal that anyone else can have in this country, right? Yeah. We want competition. We want free market principles. We don't need to have these state-mandated healthcare programs where people like you and I, or that business I was talking about, are having to pay. Remember, one of the requirements was you needed contraceptive care and abortion care if you're a 45-year-old male who is single.
Oh, you never know. Maternity care. I mean, I'm going to need, I might get pregnant. Care. Who knows?
Yeah. In Obama's America, you never knew what was going to happen. But in Trump's America, we're pretty sure that won't happen.
I guess I'd have to transition to a liberal radio host. I guess.
True.
So we're talking with Richard Castor. So let's talk more broad. And I want to say something about Senator Bozeman, Senator Cotton. I mean, they've run these amazing campaigns over the last several cycles, and they've run against Obamacare. And I don't doubt that they're not still against Obamacare. They are. They want to vote on just a repeal bill. The governor's quoted in the Gazette today as saying he doesn't support that. They do support that. I just don't want them to feel like they have to listen to Asa Hutchinson, because Asa Hutchinson is the governor. He's trying to protect a policy of progressivism and liberalism that is, like you said earlier, Richard, it's about dependency. But more broadly, let's talk about this Obamacare thing in D.C. In December of 2015, you had 52 U.S. senators, including Senator Bozeman, including Senator Cotton, voting for the measure to just get rid of it. It was vetoed by Barack Obama. The talk was, at least late yesterday, it's kind of evolved now since the Trump lunch, but to go ahead and let's bring that back up. 52 senators voted for it, and now you have some of them, that one senator from West Virginia, and others saying, no, we won't vote on something we voted for in 2015. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it really goes to show how dishonest a lot of these people are, and how half of what happens in Washington, D.C. is for show, right? They voted for that bill because they knew it would never get anywhere back in 2015. They knew it wouldn't pass. So the only repercussion of it was, well, it'll make the base happy, so we'll throw them a little red meat and we'll move on with our lives. And then behind closed doors, when they're talking to their lobbyist friends or they're talking to their big donors, they'll say, well, I knew it wasn't going to pass. That's the only reason why I voted for it. But now that we're starting to get some sunlight in Washington, D.C., now that we're starting to get a better understanding of how things work and what's going on up there, these votes are actually very important because they're showing us what these people truly believe and what their principles are. And, I know Trump had these people, these senators, to lunch today in the White House. And one can only pray he's bashing some heads together, because that's what these people need. We've already heard rumor that Trump is going to primary Jeff Flake, who has the perfect last name. He's that senator that just, he's a flake of a guy. He doesn't stand for anything and is happy to cave to the liberals at every turn. But it's going to take us supporting these primary opponents, getting more true conservatives up in Washington, D.C., because we're in an era of American politics where being Republican isn't good enough anymore. We need platform Republicans, what you always say, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
These people who actually believe what the parties should stand for. And I think what we're seeing with Senator Cotton is he is, I believe, one of the good guys.
Me too.
But he needs to know that we will have his back if he goes against the governor. We will be here for him. Mm-hmm. And I know me and my friends and you and people who listen to you all across the state will rally behind him and give their time, their treasure, and, in the words of our founding fathers, their sacred honor to defend a good senator who's willing to make the hard decisions.
Yeah. Do you have any fears? Because, now, he had Donald Trump back on June 30th, around that date. He said, you know what, if we can't get the replacement done, let's just do the repeal. Yesterday, we found out they didn't have the votes for the repeal and replace. Donald Trump then floats again. We're going to do the repeal. Rand Paul, we're going to do the repeal. Senator Cotton was on Hugh Hewitt's show saying, hey, let's just do the straight repeal. And now we've had the lunch, and now we're going to have another stab at it. They say they're going to try to take another vote Monday for the repeal and the replace. Are you worried at all that, because this has been described as kind of an Obamacare light situation, yes, it's going to put it will probably end Medicaid in Arkansas. It probably will do that because we're not going to be able to afford the match rate shifts. But there's some concern about Obamacare taxes. My concern is, Richard, that it will not lower premiums for working Arkansans who used to could afford their insurance and now they can't. Have you heard anything about that? Are you concerned about how that could get tied around Donald Trump's neck?
Yeah, absolutely. And we do have to be careful with that, because if we do nothing, I think there is something to be said that the establishment and the Democrat Party, they would both own Obamacare. When in your time frame there, when it looked like nothing was going to get done, Trump came out and said, well, the Democrats will own this. Mm-hmm. And then they floated that idea, well, let's just repeal it and give ourselves 2 years to find a new solution, which 2 years is a little bit too long for my taste. But and then we find out there's 3 Republican senators who won't vote for a straight repeal. These rhinos that we like to call them, Republicans in name only, who won't fulfill their campaign promises. And so now that brought us back to the drawing board where we're going to try one more time, like you said. And we do have to be careful that we don't create a bill where premiums won't go down and people won't see a significant change. Because if we take on the political capital of we're going to repeal and replace this thing and we don't give ourselves something great, then the people will just vote us out of office too, because we'll be just as bad as the other guys. But I hope what we'll see in whatever new draft they come up with, something where we roll back Medicaid expansion and we bring about a new era of competition in the healthcare industry. We bring about more healthcare savings accounts, which are incredible things. Paul, I have one of them, and they're a great program that can do a lot of good here in this country. If we do that, if we allow competition between state lines, and then if we can use our Health and Human Services Secretary to just demolish any regulations that are left and that are harmful, I think we could construct a bill that I would feel comfortable voting for, even if it wasn't perfect. Okay. And at this point in the game, I think we rush the ball down the field. We throw the Hail Mary and we take the best deal we can get, because these scoundrels in D.C. are making this way too hard. They're making this harder than it should be for us.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, and I like you said, I mean, I definitely understand the whole HHS argument is actually a legitimate one. I mean, that's Obamacare was originally passed as a shell, and then you let the bureaucrats, fill in and make essentially
correct.
I mean, and so with Tom Price there, you do have the chance to to try to control this thing, which is not what we are ultimately for as conservatives, but at the same time, we just want lower premiums, and they're going to have to find a way to deliver on that, or it's going to be the American people are going to be pretty upset about that. But Richard Castor, really good points that you've made here today, and I just want to point out, I mean, one more time here, the House version came out. I'll get your comment on this, and then we'll have to go. The House version came out of this repeal, and Asa Hutchinson came out against it. He was to the left of Paul Ryan. The Senate plan came out, and Asa Hutchinson was to the left of Mitch McConnell. Then they just wanted to repeal only, and Asa was, again, to the left of Mitch McConnell. That is startling, and I just wish more Arkansans knew that, because I think if they did, we would maybe have a different government right now in Arkansas.
Absolutely. And I'll say it again, I think with Asa Hutchinson down in Little Rock, we've had one of D.C.'s worst swamp monsters migrate to the South. And we've seen him govern that way as just an establishment, get along to go along, moderate, if not a liberal politician down as our governor, and that is something that should change. And I may get in trouble for saying that with my position in the party, but I don't care, because that is what the people of Arkansas want. They want a conservative, right? They want someone who believes like we believe and who will fight for change. Arkansas should be a beacon in the South. With our resources and with as many Republicans as we have around this state, we should have policies and regulatory reform that should be an example for our neighboring states. And we're not that right now. Right now, we are just a shameful state of things right now, and that needs to change for sure.
Richard Castor, I appreciate it, sir. Thank you so much. You be safe, and we'll do it again soon.
Thank you, Paul.
All righty. Folks, we got to go to break. Really good stuff there from Richard Castor. He's the host of The View from Hillsdale. He's a Hillsdale College graduate, and he's in Baxter County. Folks, we're going to take a break. Back in a minute.
Whether you're looking for a small desktop copier and printer, thinking about adding color to your documents, or considering a document management solution, Total Document Solutions is there to help. In business for decades, Total Document Solutions is an independently owned company that specializes in the ability to provide a high level of service in Northwest Arkansas, the Arkansas River Valley, Southwest Missouri, and Southeast Kansas as an exclusive Platinum Authorized Sales Agent for the Xerox Corporation. At Total Document Solutions, they offer customers technology services to improve business results. Their dedicated sales team has the unmatched industry knowledge, professionalism, and expertise needed to address the unique challenges of your business. Total Document Solutions is independent, local, and well-connected to serve your office products and document needs. Call them today at 479-575-0770. That's 479-575-0770 for your Total Document Solutions.
Welcome to Common Sense and Liberty. I'm Donnie Copeland. Well, there's been a little bit of stirring going on in political circles of late, and that is a result of Conduit from Northwest Arkansas releasing their legislative scorecard. And basically, this is just an indication or a scoring of how your legislator voted in this past legislative session. Now, I don't know why some legislators act surprised. I don't know why some got upset. I mean, if you voted conservative, you got a good score. If you voted liberal, you got a terrible score. If you voted somewhere in the middle, you got a score somewhere in the middle. And so how to fix that next time is just vote like the Republican platform, and then vote like you told the people who elected you that you would vote, and you won't be surprised next time. This is Donnie Copeland for Common Sense and Liberty.
Do you need to advertise your business product or service, but not sure what the best choice is? Folks, allow me to introduce you to talk radio. You're listening to it right now. Talk radio is one of the most unique mediums in all of advertising because it actually works. It gets the information you want to the people you want to get it to. And by the way, those people are educated, well-informed decision makers of their household, and most of them have disposable income. If this is a target audience for your business, then you have to consider advertising on my show, The Paul Harrell Program. We have options for most any budget and can provide you with exciting opportunities to grow your business. We can put your message across the state, or we can help you locally. Call 870-275-9755 if you have any questions. That's 870-275-9755, or visit my website, paulharrell.com, and click on Advertise.
Welcome back. 870-275-9799. A few of your text messages. Let's get to them. Last question. Do you want a new governor for Arkansas in the next election? Somebody texting in. I don't know what our options are. I mean, I know we're going to have a libertarian option. We've interviewed him, Mark West. I don't know who the Democrat candidate's going to be. There's some people who even floated the idea that we would be better off with a Democrat governor because we'd actually have a Republican legislature that would fight him and not be lapdogs and worship the R. See, on this survey, by the way, we've got a survey up. Go to facebook.com/Paul Talk Show. Give us your opinion. It's a survey. You take it, you fill it out. It's very easy to do. Facebook.com/Paul Talk Show. It's a Conduit for Action post that we shared on our page. You click on the link, and then you tell us what you think about Obamacare. Do you support Obamacare? Do you support the repeal? Do you support Arkansas Works? You know, it's like, 4 or 5 things. You fill it out easy. 7 questions. Let us know what you think, because this is a way to immediately, show people, is it unscientific? Yeah. But it's a way to immediately say, hey, this is how we as Arkansans feel about this. It's going to be going around. You're going to see it on Facebook. But if you want to go there, it's in the comment section of the paulharrell.com stream right now, the Facebook live stream as well. It's in the comment section. The link is. So feel free to check it out. Another text message here from Randolph County. Listening, Paul, please ask our senators by name to do the survey, too. Please, and representatives by name. We want to know how they feel, too, publicly. All right. So state senators, state reps, you guys feel free to fill out this survey as well. It's not, it is tied to email, but, you do put your email address in town there. But, there's not really any way to track by, individual names. We got a 501 number. This is Jay Crow in Conway. So Faulkner County, listener writing in, I'm looking for Asa to be on with Rachel Maddow and Joe Scarborough soon. They will agree with him. Maybe Oprah and Ellen, too. I'm telling you, it doesn't go over too well with folks when Asa's on CNN every day. And CNN is only using Asa's interviews to undermine conservative goals. Because they love, here critical of the current plan, Republican Asa Hutchinson is joining us in, and here he is, Asa Hutchinson. What else do we have? More texts. Oh, here's one, and I don't know anything about this one, but a Pope County listener writes in that he heard on the radio, or she heard on the radio, at Russellville Station, that Asa was one of the 10 chosen as the best governors in the United States. What criteria did they use, and wonder how the poll was taken? Joe, let's figure that out. Let's figure out what survey that this listener heard and they're talking about, because I certainly like to, 10 most liberal, 10 most progressive. I don't know. Back in a minute.
Rush, Glenn, Sean, and Paul. This is Jonesboro's 1013 FM News Talk, KBTM.
Paul Harrell, weekdays from 4 to 6. Learn more at paulharrell.com.
In the southern state of Arkansas.
Yeah.
And it is really regretful that he has chosen to take this path. I do not understand this comment that he made about Bozeman and Cotton. Does anybody believe that those two guys would throw the citizens of Arkansas under the bus and push for this Medicaid block grant for expanded coverage? They will have to say that to me before I'll believe it.
Yeah, me too. That's kind of where I am. And he says in his statement he released via email, now it has been announced that the Senate bill does not have the votes. I look forward to discussing any future action with both Senator Bozeman and Senator Cotton. They have provided significant help in getting changes in the Senate bill that are more favorable to Arkansas, and am grateful for their support. I've reached out to Senator Cotton's office just to say, hey, because he went on MSNBC, we played it last hour, and he took total credit, or he gave them credit for the block grant idea for expanded coverage, which is for able-to-work adults. So it's very strange. But here's the thing: when Tom Cotton, who has a very the highest, he's got the highest national profile of anybody right now from Arkansas, and when he goes on these shows, I don't feel embarrassed. I don't feel like he's being used by the liberals to,
not at all.
Because he'll go on NBC or MSNBC,
right.
and he advocates for the platform, but but Asa doesn't. When Asa's going on this, he comes across as, to me, just not representing the average Arkansan at all.
No, not at all. And regretfully, he's all about maintaining and keeping in place ASA care, and it just is regretful that we find ourselves in the situation that we do, with 330 additional people on Medicare coverage, expanded Medicare coverage, which now takes us over 1 million people in the state. 1/3 of our population is on expanded Medicaid, and it's just it is regretful that we find ourselves there. That's costing the citizens $2 billion a year, and he is just giddy about the fact that the Senate is not going to vote on the bill that they had proposed, and then he's even more giddy that probably they have chosen not to repeal Obamacare. But what I think that and I think McConnell is going to do an up and down vote on that next week. But I understand that the administration has said, Trump administration has said, is we're just going to let Obamacare crash. And my question is once that happens, what happens in the state of Arkansas to the 330,000 people that they have, our governor and our legislature has placed on expanded Medicaid? Medicaid.
I don't know. I know that Asa has certainly fought all of his recommendations. He's been to the left of Paul Ryan, which is saying something. He's been to the left of Mitch McConnell. He has fought to make this bill even more progressive than they wanted it. And I think, well, first of all, I want the people of Arkansas to know that. I want them to understand that. I'm sure the happiest person right now, just on face value, would be liberal columnist John Brummett. However, I actually think, and I could be wrong, but David, I think this might be a win for conservatism. I know they're going to try to do a straight repeal, and right now there's reports saying that they don't have the votes for that, even though they still need to get on record. They still need to have the vote, and then the American people are going to see that there's a lot of cleaning up to do in the Republican Party. And, it may be time. It may be time for a new Senate Majority Leader and a new Speaker, honestly.
I agree. I would love to see both of those turned over. But I also like what you said about just doing a straight-up vote on repeal, so we know who is for and who is against. And it just makes it perfectly clear for everybody, because it's amazing. Back in 2015, all of them voted for repeal, But when it and it didn't matter then, but they actually needed that for a re-election. But now this one will be taken, and we'll just let the chips fall where they may.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a sad state of affairs right now that we find ourselves in.
The repeal bill that they want to have a vote on is the same one from 2015. This morning on national radio, Senator Cotton said, of course I'm going to vote for it. Of course I'm going to vote for the straight repeal because I voted for it last time. And then he started to question, hey, anybody that, why wouldn't you do this? Why wouldn't you go ahead and vote for something you voted last year? And national radio host Hugh Hewitt, he says, hey, if there's a Republican that voted for this in 2015 and doesn't vote for it now, they need to just resign because their career is over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Don't you know that I guess ACE's probably got Cotton and Bozeman on the phone now trying to get them to vote against it. So.
I mean, you would think so. I mean,
you would, that's right.
Obviously, that's what his opinion would be. He
The maintenance of a free society is a very difficult and complicated thing, and it requires a self-denying ordinance of the most extreme kind. It requires a willingness to put up with temporary evils on the basis of the subtle and sophisticated understanding that if you step in to do something about them, you not only may make them worse, but you will spread your tentacles and get bad results elsewhere.
I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. We lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
You're listening to the Paul Harrell Program, brought to you by Conduit Media
Hey, folks, it's hour number 2. My name is Paul. This is the intersection of conservative ideas and reality where we are building a liberty machine. We want you to be a part of that if you would like to. If you're listening, you pretty much are. You can call or text a number. Call us, give us a text, 870-275-9799. And you could also buy our Liberty Machine t-shirts, Building a Liberty Machine t-shirts over at paulharrell.com. They're on sale. Shipping's free. All right. So, let's start with this, shall we? Let's start with the fact that in light of our whiteboard, run it till it passes, we now have a lot of what I would say is AstroTurf from city governments who are doing the municipal league's bidding of wanting to run an issue that has already failed. The people's representatives have already spoken, and they just continue over and over and over and over again. Okay? I would say that this idea of running it till it passes is going to continue because the government wants to grow. So it's no secret that the government itself, at the local level all the way to the state level, has an incentive of promoting it. I mean, they're lobbying. These city officials are now lobbying to continue to grow government. And it's pretty sad. And Conduit for Action has a story up right now. Is your hometown conspiring against you to raise your taxes? City governments are now conspiring against taxpayers to get more money. At the insistence and direction of their own lobbyists, the municipal leagues, cities are now lobbying the governor and state legislators to pass an internet sales tax. Reports show that Arkansas sales tax revenue has increased over the last 2 months. It's reported that the increase is the result of new sales taxes voluntarily collected by Amazon from Arkansas internet purchasers, leaving in the minds of local governments an untapped gold mine of new tax revenue, hundreds of millions annually, yet to be collected from unwilling out-of-state sellers. As a result, cities around the state are now considering resolutions begging Governor Asa Hutchinson to call. You see how that works? Asa Hutchinson begs John Bozeman and Tom Cotton for more money, and then the governments beneath him follow suit, and they beg Asa for more money. You see how that works? You have this imitation going on. So, as a result, cities around the state are now considering resolutions begging Governor Asa Hutchinson to call the 91st General Assembly back into its second special session of 2017 to pass the once-failed internet sales tax on all purchases made by Arkansans from out-of-state sellers. Thankfully, the governor said he is not going to do so. Let us hope he will keep his promise and not attempt to override the will of the people. Now, let's stop there. Last night, in the city of Jonesboro in northeast Arkansas, Mayor Harrell Perrin sponsored a resolution, one of these resolutions, doing the municipal league's bidding, and it passed 8-4. He said that the special session would probably be called in August or September. I want you to listen to the audio of first one alderman who had his facts straight, one city councilman who wasn't having any of it, and him and 3 other colleagues voted against this resolution to take more money from your pockets. And I want to say I want to thank them. That alderman's name is Bobby Long. Bobby will be on the program tomorrow. I want to talk to him. I want to pick his brain. But this is what he said. Now, first of all, though, we're going to listen to them read this resolution. I want you to hear what they passed last night and what they're passing all across Arkansas. Listen to this.
Resolution by the City Council of the City of Jonesboro, Arkansas, supporting federal and state legislation to ensure the proper assessment and collection of sales tax from all internet online sales, thereby creating a fair and free market for all business and consumers, regardless of location of the business from which the purchase was made. Whereas the City of Jonesboro recognizes that legislation frequently referred to as the Marketplace Fairness and Remote Transaction Parity Act, this legislation is being considered by the United States Congress, and whereas similar legislation was considered by the Arkansas General Assembly during the 2017 regular legislative session,
and failed.
Whereas this legislation would give states the authority to enforce local and state taxes that are already in place and owed by out-of-state online retailers, and whereas this legislation would require retailers to collect and remit sales tax to state and local governments for out-of-state online sales, and whereas all businesses, regardless of their physical location, should be required to collect and remit state and local sales tax, and whereas the playing field as it currently stands favors out-of-state internet retailers that exploit a pre-internet loophole, allowing them to evade collecting state and local taxes.
Stop for a second.
Even though they sell the same product.
I just want to say something. I know she's reading at a really breakneck pace, but that's what needs to happen so things kind of move on. But I just wonder if Mayor Harrell Perrin would want the state of California to be able to impose a carbon tax on the city of Jonesboro or the state of Arkansas. Now, he wouldn't support that. You know what he'd say? Like, well, they don't have a jurisdiction. They don't have a right. I hope that's what he would say. They don't have a right to do that. If you start see, they have no idea what they're even talking about. They have not. All they see are dollar signs. So they have no clue. With respect, you don't know what kind of Pandora's box you're opening here when Jonesboro, Arkansas, or the state of Arkansas is claiming they have the right to tax some person that makes an online sale in Indiana. You are claiming jurisdiction for money that goes to pay for local things that a person in Indiana isn't even taking advantage of. The person in Indiana doesn't get the benefit of the state infrastructure or the city police, the fire, the sewer, none of that. Keep going.
The same communities as local merchants do, and whereas as it currently stands, stores with a local retailer must collect sales tax while online stores do not, thereby enabling online stores to undercut local retail prices. Whereas this legislation is not a new tax or a tax increase, but rather enables states to collect taxes that are already due.
Stop. That's not an accurate statement. That is an incorrect statement. It is a new tax on out-of-state sellers. The use tax, it is a fact, the use tax is already owed, but it is a new tax on out-of-state sellers. It is a new tax, and you know what? Call it whatever you want. If you get what you want, the people of Arkansas will be giving the government more money. That's a tax increase in my book.
Okay, so she said that that not having a tax on the internet undercuts or allows people selling on the internet to undercut local businesses. First off, most of the time when I have to buy something, a lot of the time shipping and handling costs more than sales tax in most situations.
That's an interesting point. Hold on to that thought. Joe, because you're gonna.
One more thing. One more thing.
Yeah.
Also, a lot of people on the internet, yes, the reason why they have lower prices for the most part is because they can sell at cost, and maybe just a little bit above cost to make profit or to make what they need to make for to sell the product. Whereas people in stores, they have a lot more stuff that they have to raise prices. For instance, a store selling a shirt, you buy the same shirt somewhere else for $5-6 less. Well, the people at the store also have costs that they have to incur just from having the store open.
Right.
So they have to have prices raised.
Overhead. Yeah.
But again, go back to shipping and handling. Shipping and handling usually costs quite a bit.
Yeah. I mean, Bobby Long makes that point. It's very good that you recognize that. All right, keep going. This long resolution, it'll end some point.
And whereas this legislation would generate more sales, pay more sales tax to the state treasury, encourage more local retailers, create jobs for local workers,
and encourage more. There will not stop. There will not be another job created because of an internet sales tax. People who shop on the internet now will continue to shop on the internet.
Actually, if anything, you might cost jobs because of that.
I'm telling you, it just drives me nuts. They are trying to use local businesses who no doubt have seen their revenue decline because of the internet, but that is because of a modern technology and convenience. That it's not because they can buy your product without paying taxes. That's not it. For the most part, there are exceptions here and there, but for the most part, that's not why local businesses are having a hard time. You know what? It may be because Asa Hutchinson and the General Assembly won't lower your taxes and regulations. Blame that. Don't try to say, well, we need more. We need to give the government more money so our businesses will prosper. That doesn't make any sense.
Just kind of an FYI for those people out there, especially these kind of people who think that. For the most part, for those of us who buy stuff on the internet, it's because we can't get the object that we want/need in our area.
You are exactly right.
That is the reason we use that.
Yeah, I know. A lot of people will buy local, are very conscious of that, and they go buy local to support local businesses. But a lot of times, you know what? But a lot of times you don't. Get through this resolution. I'm going to have to just sew my mouth shut.
Okay.
I didn't finish. I'm sorry.
She's not finished.
It was so long the iPad didn't pull the whole thing up at once. Now,
okay.
therefore, be it resolved by the City Council for the City of Jonesboro, Arkansas, Section 1, that we do hereby urge members of the Arkansas Congressional Delegation and the Arkansas Legislature to work for passage and vote in favor of legislation requiring the collection and remittance of state and local sales tax by all retailers, thus making for competition and true free market and giving every business an equal opportunity to compete, innovate, and create jobs. Section 2, moreover, we do hereby urge Governor Asa Hutchinson to call for a special session as quickly as possible to address this most important issue for the benefit of the state's local retail businesses and its citizens.
Stop. Okay, back to this Conway Fraction article briefly. Is your hometown conspiring against you to raise your taxes? When, let's take Jonesboro specifically, when you vote for somebody like State Representative Brant Smith, who votes against internet sales tax, when you vote for somebody like Representative Jack Ladyman, who votes against the internet sales tax, and then the mayor of the same populace, the same constituency, sponsors a resolution going against what the state representatives did in the city, that's really weird. That's strange. And last I checked, people of Jonesboro elected Mayor Harrell Perrin, not the Municipal League. Now, City Councilman Bobby Long wasn't having any of this. Listen.
That's been read. Okay. Go ahead, Councilman.
I want to say a few words on this. I want to see our local merchants succeed. I want to see them have a safe city to do business in. I want to see them have a favorable tax structure in which to operate, one that's not too burdensome or unfair. I want to encourage them to take advantage of every legal opportunity to earn consumers' business every day. When I can, I buy local. As a matter of fact, I paid more for a product recently than I could have purchased it online just to buy local. So I do support our local businesses. I do not, however, support any attempt to exploit local business support as a ruse to increase state tax revenue.
Wow.
With that said, I also think it's deceiving how the internet sales tax legislation was presented by some in a way that made it seem like it was supposed to be all for the good of local retailers. Truth be known, it's just one of multiple ways this past session tried to increase the taxes on the people of Arkansas, which includes us. In essence, I do not see this tax proposal as funding progress, but enabling a debilitating and bankrupting lust for power, spending, and control that seems to be rampant by many in office. When we allow our governments, whether it be local, state, or federal, to reach into our back pockets again and again, knowing they have not handled the money we have already entrusted to them properly, we are doing nothing more than enabling, promoting, and proliferating a habitual practice that's already out of control. As it stands right now, it is unconstitutional for a state to mandate any out-of-state business that does not have a physical presence in that state to collect sales, county, city taxes for remission in that state. This was brought to light and confirmed during the recent legislative session. We hear terms like exploit the law. When one follows federal law, I think it's odd to say that it's being exploited. I guess I exploit traffic laws and other laws every day just by being a good citizen. It's my opinion that what is being exploited is the kind hearts and desire for Arkansans to help local business, when in fact it's doing nothing more than giving big government more money to waste. Right now, retailers in Jonesboro can be seen as both local business and an out-of-state business. Every business in Jonesboro that does not operate a physical location in another state is an out-of-state business to that state. There is no law, statute, ordinance, or any other legality preventing any Jonesboro merchant from exploiting the same federal law and marketing their online product in other out-of-state market they want.
That's a great point. They're saying it's unfair, it's unfair, it's unfair. No, it would be unfair if the local business couldn't sell things on the internet. But they can. These are different business models. These are different things. I could go set up an online store in 24 hours. I couldn't set up a brick and mortar business. Keep going.
Increasing their internet sales footprint and competing in other states and exploiting the same laws as other out-of-state retailers is totally within their right and prerogative if they choose. I checked FedEx shipping rates, and one would pay more for a 2-pound package to be shipped FedEx ground 2 to 3 days delivery than what our tax rate is. Many times this rate is absorbed as a cost by the retailer that has to ship that package. Our local businesses may have to charge tax to that out-of-state retailer that the out-of-state retailer doesn't, but they do not have to ship it, and in majority of cases, the cost to ship is more than the tax collected.
There's your point,
This
Joe.
being said, I don't think people buy online mainly because it's cheaper, but because they can shop at 11 o'clock at night in the privacy of their own homes and get it shipped directly to their house, or it may be because they can't find a desired item locally.
All of your
points
points
I want to
Joe.
make are simple. Average citizens only have so much to spend, and when that money is gone, we're done spending. We can't print money, nor can we operate in a deficit like state and federal governments. When we, the people, are out of money, we're through spending at local restaurants, grocery stores, malls, gas stations, convenience stores, repair shops, etc. We don't hire plumbers, lawyers, and inspectors. We put off going to the doctor because we don't have co-pays or can't afford the out-of-pocket expenses. Number two, if this law is not a new tax, then why do we need additional legislation? Why do we need to create new category of tax called sales and use when we already have a sales tax and a use tax? And why is it going to cost us more money? All in all, I can't see how taking upwards of $100 million or more of purchasing power out of the hands of people and shifting it to a state government that spends millions of dollars on faulty or unusable computer programs for Medicaid expansion, or spends thousands of dollars on pet projects for legislators just for a vote on certain legislation is good for our economy. Our state government spends 35 to 45% more taxpayer dollars per capita, or for each person, than our contiguous states, and 39% more than the U.S. average.
Those are David
Our
Crow
state
numbers.
government has 37.5 to 39% more non-educational state employees per 10,000 residents than other comparable states.
David
I'm not
Crow
against
numbers.
tax increases, but I do think I can spend my money more wisely than the state can at this given time. How can this be good for local retailers? If Arkansas just reduced our state employees down to the average of other states, we would save upwards to $8.8 billion, and that's billion with a B. Therefore, I cannot, with clear conscience, vote to support any resolution or any effort to take close to $100 million from the pockets of hardworking Arkansans and from the retail stores of our local businesses. This includes no telling how much from the citizens of Jonesboro alone, knowing good and well that if it were set to a vote before the people, they would vote it down wholeheartedly. How can we as a body elected to represent the people of Jonesboro vote to support something that we know would fail significantly if put to a vote? A poll was conducted recently on this issue, and an average of 74% agree that internet should remain as free from government regulation and taxation as possible. 88% of Republicans, 78% independents, 59% Democrats, 83% of conservatives voted to keep it the same and keep it free from government taxation. For me to sit up here and vote to propagate and support an initiative that is squarely in opposition to the majority of those who voted for me to represent them is an abandonment of the people who put me here. The Municipal League didn't put me in this chair.
Wow.
The people of Jonesboro put me in this chair, and I'll do my best to hear from them and act accordingly. This is why I recently sent a message to all our local representatives and senators urging them to not only continue to vote against this legislation as it rears its ugly head, but to enact new legislation that would repeal any existing law that requires citizens of Arkansas to self-report and remit sales tax voluntarily.
Stop. That is Alderman Bobby Long from the Jonesboro City Council. The resolution passed 8-4. On a roll call vote, but he had his facts straight. He had numbers that you've heard on this program. He had numbers that you've heard on conduitfraction.org. Really well done. Going to talk to Bobby tomorrow. We're going to go to break. Back in a minute.
This is Dan Sullivan with the Liberty Moment. Government is not the author or source of our rights, and you don't make America great again by giving one man in Washington all the power. You make America great again by recovering a constitutional republic, where Washington is populated by people who are servant leaders who want to return power to the people and communities. Because what makes America great again in this country are its Rotary clubs, small businesses, churches, schools, fire departments, and little leagues across this land. God bless the people who hear this truth. Senator Ben Sasse.
Paid for by Sullivan for Arkansas.
Arkansas small businesses are tired of taxes that are too high and regulations that work as obstacles to small business success. If you own a small business, it's time to take action. Now, I'm not talking about the local chambers of commerce. I'm talking about an organization that's actually run by small business owners and are fighting for small businesses right here in the state of Arkansas. They're called Conduit for Action, and they're on your side. Conduit for Action is here not to get something from the government, but to be left alone by the government. Think of them as your personal advocate for limited government at the Capitol in Little Rock. If you're tired of all the politicians talking with no results and ready for action, start outsourcing your government affair needs with Conduit for Action. Go now to conduitforaction.org and click on Contact Us on the right side of the page. That's conduitforaction.org and stand up for small business in Arkansas.
Want to go back and listen to previous shows? Apple users can subscribe to our podcast on iTunes. Don't have an Apple device? Head on over to paulharrell.com and click on Podcast. It's free and available 24/7 because the Liberty Machine never sleeps.
All right, folks, we are up against a hard break. You'll have to forgive me here. I did find from last hour that survey, morningconsult.com, about Governor Asa Hutchinson being among the 10 most popular governors in the nation. I've got a Twitter where David Crow responds on Twitter to Governor Asa Hutchinson's tweet and says that survey was heavily weighted by Dems, liberals, and those watching MSNBC and CNN. Conservatives were not allowed to participate. Or we could just say this. The polls showed that Hillary Clinton was going to win by 12 points a week out as well. But, I mean, good grief, folks. If you got to pay attention to what he does. He is helped and aided by the fact that he's Arkansas's governor. The media assumes he's conservative, but his policies are as progressive as you can get. And we've demonstrated that to you over and over again. Back in a minute.
Paul Harrell, weekdays from 4 to 6. Learn more at paulharrell.com.
June 30th, ASA came out against the straight repeal without a replacement. So, and we know why, because he supports what's going on. He was asked by Arkansas News and John Lyon in a story over the weekend, do you wish Governor Mike Beebe hadn't have expanded Medicaid? And he said no. I mean, I don't know the exact quote, but he said no. I don't necessarily. I wouldn't say that. Quote, I wouldn't say that is his quote. So, every day, every time these negotiations keep moving forward, Governor Hutchinson, really, if you'll read between the lines, he's getting further and further to the left, and he wanted this bill to be more progressive. And in a way, Governor Hutchinson's lobbying, you could say, it's a bridge people are going to be upset about that I'm making, but Governor Hutchinson lobbying this bill to become more progressive is why you lost conservatives like Mike Lee and Rand Paul, and you didn't actually get a vote on the bill. I thought people might think that's a stretch, but I think if you indirectly, that's certainly the case, because you got to think all these taxes that were kept in the bill that are the reason Rand Paul and Mike Lee can't support it are connected with all of these quote private end quote companies that are dependent on the federal government. In the system that they've created, and they don't want it to go away. We're talking about Blue Cross Blue Shield based out of Chicago, Arkansas Blue Cross Blue Shield. There's really nothing local about that, and it's all interconnected. And this is the thing, David. We're on the path to socialized medicine, and this is why liberty doesn't matter. The third annual convention is so important. All of these healthcare executives, if the left gets what they want, and if the progressives who claim to be Republicans, who just refuse to see what they're doing to this country, what they're doing to future generations, they can't see the forest because they're just staring at the trees, it will be the Blue Crosses, Blue Shields of the world that initially, to make everybody feel okay, are the ones that are given the bureaucratic authority to run all of this stuff. And then eventually they're the ones who will be the government administrators, where you will not be able to see where the government ends and Blue Cross Blue Shield, for example, begins. And that's what I wish some of these rhino Republicans would realize. You may think these guys are your friends. Oh, it's they lie to themselves and they say, oh, it's about the private market because we're using private insurance. No, these guys are waiting in the wings to get their government jobs, and they will then be ruling over us. That's really where I think we're headed.
Right on. I totally agree with you, Paul. And those of you that are out there questioning whether this was the right thing or the wrong thing to do, you can just look at England, are over in Great Britain right now, and what has happened over there. We got the court system determining whether or not an infant can live or die, and the parents have no say in it. And that's where this kind of bureaucracy with our Medicare, our Medicaid, and the expansion and all, and this movement towards single payer, large government, expanding spending and just continuing to layer on regulation and taking away our freedoms and our liberties is a huge mistake. And people, we have got to step up and say enough is enough. We need to have our liberty and our freedom back, because if people like Asa...
Watch Paul live at paulharrell.com. It's free and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because the Liberty Machine never sleeps.
All right, welcome back to the program. So to answer your question about this survey, the governor has tweeted this idea that he's one of the most 10 popular governors in the state of Arkansas, and I just want you to know, as far as approval ratings, compared to approval ratings from other states. So true conservatives, if you look at this, true conservatives on this rating system don't have high scores because Democrats don't approve of the job they're doing. So Scott Walker doesn't have a good score on the list that Asa Hutchinson ranks in the top 10 on. Greg Abbott from Texas doesn't have a good score. So tell me why he's the most popular, but then Greg Abbott, see, because it's weighted with Democrats, right? When Asa Hutchinson has the same score in a survey he's touting as the governor of New York, Governor Cuomo, that tells you everything you need to know, okay? And yet he tweets out, "I'm so excited." So for those of you that heard that, I had a listener from Russellville, and I'm assuming he was listening on Carve on 610 AM, 101.3 FM, and we are so grateful to be on KARV out of Russellville. Somebody said that they heard that this morning in the news. Well, that would be where it's coming from. But you got to know. You got to dissect. Why does Asa Hutchinson have the same score as Chris Cuomo? Why is Scott Walker, who has done amazing work for conservative movement in Wisconsin, or Greg Abbott, why are they not high on the list? That should tell you that conservatives aren't really a factor in the study. Okay, just point of reference there. Let's get back to the end of this audio. We have audio here from Bobby Long out of Jonesboro speaking against the internet sales tax last night. It did pass, this resolution passed to urge Asa to call a special session. It passed 8-4. Bobby Long and 3 of his colleagues. We'll be talking with Councilman Bobby Long tomorrow on the program at 5. But he's wrapping up here, but I want you to hear what the mayor of Jonesboro, Arkansas, Harold Perrin, has to say about this. But Bobby Long wraps up. Listen.
It's unfair to hold responsible the people of Arkansas to become tax attorneys and understand the list of internet purchases that are or are not taxable items found in the Department of Finance and Administration regulations. And lastly, I want to say that regardless of the outcome of this vote, either way, I respect all my fellow aldermen and our mayor, and most of all, the citizens of the great city of Jonesboro. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else want to make a comment? I've got one, but anybody else want to make a comment?
This is Mayor Harold Perrin.
Okay. Basically, what this is the City Council, if they adopt this proclamation, the Arkansas Municipal League, which consists of 501 cities throughout the entire state of Arkansas, has asked the cities to pass this to be sent to, so they can take it to the governor to call a special session sometime probably in August or 1st of September. So this can be voted on at the
Now stop right there. That
resolution
is news. Asa has said he doesn't support this. Mayor Harold Perrin, maybe he's privy to information we don't know. Asa has said he doesn't want to call a special session. Now, he can always change his mind. Well, I was against, as governor, I was against calling a special session. But then, surprisingly, amazingly, the Municipal League and all these cities signed these petitions and passed these resolutions and blah, 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 blah. Fundamentally, Asa Hutchinson is a divider. He's a divider. He's trying to divide Tom Cotton and John Bozeman from their constituency right now, right? He's got a liberal media in Arkansas that will tell people to panic, that's putting more people in protesting Tom Cotton and John Bozeman's stance on Obamacare, right? And he's a divider. He's wanting to divide city governments from their state representatives, like when Brant Smith, Jack Laneman, Dan Sullivan, Dwight Tosh, and these guys vote against State Representative Dan Sullivan, and when they vote against the internet sales tax, and then the city of Jonesboro undermines them. I mean, come on. He's a divider. Asa Hutchinson is a divider. Go ahead and keep going with that. I'm sorry.
Again, on this one, as stated previously, is not a new tax. In fact, lawfully, Arkansas residents are required to report any amount of money purchased on online items on an annual basis. However, this law is not being enforced currently. Last year alone, 70 Arkansans reported only the amount of money spent on online purchases on tax returns, and there's 3 million residents in the state of Arkansas. Arkansas cities are losing approximately $25 million annually because there is no procedure in place to collect online sales. This is a conservative dollar figure on the $25 million. Arkansas sales tax receipts in May were up 7.2% over last year because of Amazon's voluntarily collection of sales tax.
You see the
and 6%
the dollar signs in their eyes.
Retailers support 1 in 4 American jobs.
Now, okay, stop. Now, you see what they're doing here. You got to follow their argument. He just listed all of the new money the government stands to make off of this. And then, but also retailers support, retailers, they need this, retailers, blah, 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 blah. It's just not true, folks, that small businesses are going to benefit from an internet sales tax.
Well, they said retailers is what do you say, 1 in 4 jobs?
Yeah.
Okay. What are they trying to tax? Online retailers.
Right. Exactly.
1 in 4 jobs. Come on. You're saying, 1 in 4 jobs come from retailers?
Yeah.
Well, you're about to tax the other, the part that doesn't already get taxed.
And just like you have Walmart, who doesn't care anything about mom and pops, and all of a sudden they're for this. Explain that to me, Mayor Perrin, respectfully. Why is Walmart all for this? I mean, they don't care anything about mom and pop. This has nothing to do with mom and pop. You're just exploiting mom and pop businesses who are suffering because technology. And look, if you're a mom and pop shop, if you're a local business, start selling stuff online. I mean, that's my recommendation to you. Start looking into figuring out how to do that, because that is the future. It's coming. And I know people have online businesses here in Arkansas. They don't, they don't make a lot of in-state purchases. If they do, they report it, they pay the sales tax on it, but they get purchases from all over the country, all over the world, because they're an online business. What we have people failure to change it, failure to adapt. It's a real problem, and it's actually going to end up hurting what is still an emerging market. There will always be a need for brick and mortar in some cases, but there's not going to be the same need for brick and mortar the way there used to be. That's the way things are going. I don't think clothing shops, for example, will ever go away, because most people like to go try clothes on, make sure, because different cuts of jeans, everything. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that's ever going to go away. There's other things. People want to feel and touch a product before they buy it. That's a legitimate thing, but not everything's going to still be there. But you know what? That's not a bad thing. There will be new things. There will be new markets. There will be new stores that we haven't even, if we'll just let the free market work, that we don't even know what's possible down the line. And instead, all they see are dollar signs. And that's really, if they were honest about it, that's really what their argument should be. Now, look, I know there are people that disagree. I know that there are some people who say, when you start talking about big purchases on the internet, like large purchases, business owners that do that, they got a problem with people buying them online, and they will buy them online for the specific reason that it's cheaper because they avoid a tax. Because if it's a bigger purchase, the tax actually, can hurt a lot more. And I understand that that's your argument, but that's actually an argument to ask the government to lower everybody's taxes, not raise them on other people who are making a living, selling books or selling T-shirts or selling whatever, on the internet. The phone number is 870-275-9799. I want to hear a little bit more from Mayor Harrell Perrin's comments, who he supported this in spite of Jonesboro's representatives like Dan Sullivan and Jack Ladyman and Brant Smith, in spite of them voting to kill the internet sales tax. This has already been voted on. That's a very key point here you need to realize. Continue.
Add nearly 4 jobs for every $1 million of increased sales, and just 1 job for every $1 million of sales. 93% of the Americans say that local retailers are important to this community and the economic development of their community. E-fairness is critical to the survival of small business. 95% of all small businesses operate with 1 location, fewer than 5 employees.
That statement is what I was trying to get to. quote, e-fairness is critical to the survival of small business. I do not believe that is accurate. And if you'll just take a logical approach to it. I shop on Amazon a lot. Most of my Christmas shopping is done on Amazon because I'm pretty busy a lot of the time, and when it comes to, I get in a routine. Christmas sneaks up on me every time. I'm a big procrastinator, and I like to go on Amazon, and I like to buy stuff. I like to have it shipped, and I like to be done with it. Now, the reason I'm doing that is because it's convenient for me. Now, I'll go out and shop locally for some gifts, but for a lot of them, that's what I do. Now, there's some people that would shame me. There are people that would, I don't know, local business bro you, when you're like, oh, really? You're not shopping locally? Well, I mean, it's not a crime. Sorry. I apologize if I don't do that. I'm just telling you, I'm going to continue to shop online. Those of you who already have a habit of shopping online, you're going to continue to shop online, whether there's a sales tax or not. This is not about saving small businesses. It is not critical for what they call e-fairness, because what they consider to be fair, I consider to be unfair, because your out-of-state seller doesn't benefit from the tax revenue. The out-of-state seller doesn't benefit from, somebody in North Carolina selling you a product is not going to benefit from Jonesboro City sewer services or trash services or police and fire. That's what that money goes to pay for. So shouldn't the people that pay for it benefit from it? What they call e-fairness is actually discriminatory against people with internet businesses. They're two different things. Get over it. You don't deserve the money. You mismanage the money that you're given now. We give you all kinds of tax revenue to run government, and you guys keep asking for more of it. Anyway, thought I would point that out. But Alderman Bobby Long, who gave that speech, wasn't done. Keep going, because Mayor Perrins from Jonesboro, his comments end shortly after this. Listen.
All this is doing is putting it in the hands to go back to the legislature to be voted on what we're doing tonight. So, again,
please, Asa, call a special session.
Council again to
please
vote your convictions.
Give us more money.
Was expressed by Alderman Long a few minutes ago. But if they get the 300 in there on that deal, then they will take that to the governor, and then he will call a special session, and our legislative body will vote on that. Pardon me? I'll be happy, Debbie. Come on up and state your name and address.
That's Debbie
for the record.
Peltley. I believe she spoke at this event.
I think it's important that we also understand that this was recently brought before the Arkansas legislature and it failed.
Stop. Thank you. That was Bobby Long, and what are you going to do? He wanted everybody to know, hey, look, you guys are undermining what the General Assembly has already decided. The people have already decided this. The people's representatives have already said, nope, we don't want it. It failed. They couldn't get the votes. Didn't pass. Couldn't get out of committee. Putting all those Democrats on the committee, though, right? I mean, that was that worked out nice for you, didn't it? SB 140 didn't have the votes to pass. Didn't have the votes. It did get out of committee eventually, right? Yeah. And then it failed. Let me. I can't remember. They took. It's not going to tell me exactly how many votes it went through in the committee, though, because that was the real. That was the real interesting part about all of that. Was the jockeying. See, I've got such a terrible memory sometimes. It all blurs together. Let's see here. What is this? 91st General Assembly. Yeah. To provide the collection of sales and use taxes rather than use tax on sales by certain remote sellers. And the House voted, and it failed. They couldn't get it. Only 43 yes votes, a lot of them Republicans. But look at those 50 nay votes. Good for them. 50 people voting no, saying enough with the revenue, enough with trying to tax Arkansas voters more. Bobby Long was right about one thing. I mean, all of that was correct, but he was certainly right. When we run out of money as citizens, we don't spend anymore. $100 million from the people is a lot of money. It's a lot of money in a state like Arkansas that's going to be taken out of our private economy. And that actually hurts the small businesses they claim to support. They think e-fairness is going to support that. But you're taking $100 million that now won't go to a small business, that won't go to support a local economy. It's $100 million. That hurts small business. If you want more money, if you think small businesses are hurting, small business, you guys should come on this program. You guys should join me in my fight to get them to lower everyone's taxes, to shrink the size of government, to shrink the burdensome regulations, to shrink the licensing board's authority on things when it doesn't have to do with public safety. That's what you guys should do. If there are small business owners out there that have bought into this, that bought into this concept of, well, the internet's hurting my business, or let me say that, because the internet is hurting. There's no question the market has provided more options for people, and so it's hurting their business. But for those of you who've bought into the lie that an internet sales tax is going to somehow save your business, that your business is dependent on, quote, e-fairness, I want you to just try to rethink it and instead refocus back on the government and say, quit spending, or quit taking so much of my money. Governor Hutchinson cut $113 million from the budget like that and said no valuable services were going to be affected. And then he put it back in the budget when the money came in, probably from the Amazon voluntary collection that we're all now paying. Thanks a lot, Arkansas GOP. Question got to be asked, if he can cut $113 million like that from the budget and no vital services are affected, what are we spending it for in the first place? See, instead of them trying to raise $100 million from us with a new internet, unconstitutional, by the way, tax increase, they should be cutting the size of government by $100 million and giving it back to us. We got to take a break. Back in a moment.
Bob Baloney here from ASA News, The Parrot. Breaking news from the Capitol in Little Rock. Over now to our new on-site reporter, Susan Shenanigans. Susan?
Thanks, Bob. The governor has just announced that a Blue Ribbon Task Force is to be formed.
Today, I'm asking your support for a Blue Ribbon Legislative Task Force to be created and directed to recommend further reform.
Now we go live to the chamber to listen in for more information on the task force.
I hereby call this session into order. First on the agenda for today is the formation of the Blue Ribbon Task Force. Is there anyone who would like to give their thoughts on the task force?
Yes, as someone who's deeply conservative, why is the governor choosing the color blue for this task force? Sounds like he's really a Democrat loyalist. Why not a red ribbon to prove he's a true conservative?
Well, I represent Walmart, and we agree with the color of the task force ribbon. The color blue is best consistent with a Walmart brand.
I object to this choice. Blue is the wrong color ribbon for this task force.
Well, who are you?
I am Mr. P.C. Wrights, and I represent Target, and we want the ribbon to be red, not blue.
Hold it right there. This seems like a tough decision. Why not ask the governor to call a special session at a later date for an important decision as this?
I think this is something worth talking about. I motion that we decide the color of the ribbon today.
I second it. Fine. We can decide it now. Does anyone have any other suggestions for the color of the ribbon?
I think the color should be white.
Whoa. Hold on. Definitely not white. I agree with Mr. PC Wrights. Maybe we should choose green for the farmers.
You like the color green because you are a farmer. I think it should be purple, so we can display how Arkansas is an extremely moderate state.
Why are we even discussing this? Shouldn't we be talking about tax reform instead of wasting time with this?
Well, the people have spoken. They believe this is worth talking about, so we are deciding this now.
Excuse me, sir, but shouldn't the color of the ribbon be rainbow to include all types of people?
Please, silence your phones.
I just received a call from Walmart HQ, and they agree with, what was your name again? My name is Fabulous. They agree with Fabulous that the color should be rainbow.
Target concurs with the decision of it being rainbow-colored ribbon.
Is there a motion to make the ribbon rainbow-colored?
I motion to make the color rainbow.
I second the motion. The motion carries because I said so.
The committee will now vote and not be on record to keep the people in the dark. Back to you, Bob.
Thank you, Susan. And thank you for listening to ASA News The Parrot. Next up, there are reports of a gorilla on top of the Capitol Dome demanding massive sums of taxpayer cash. His name? Medicaid expansion.
PHP Parody.
All right. Welcome back to the program, ladies and gentlemen. The phone number, 870-275-9799. Again, we'll be talking, I know we spent the entire hour on the sales tax. I get that. We have more information that we needed to get to. We'll get to it tomorrow. But we will be interviewing Jonesboro City Councilman Bobby Long tomorrow, so you don't want to miss that. Joe, can you pull up the video, Donald Trump, real quick before we go, the one that we had? This is, this is the one of Donald Trump earlier today. I mean, this was pretty savage, but it was good, of him talking about Obamacare and what a lie it was. And really, in that context, what an obligation we have to repeal it. Listen.
Since 2013, Obamacare premiums have skyrocketed. In Alaska, they went up over 200% recently. We know that. In Arizona, they've been up 118%. And those states are good compared to some of the numbers that are coming out. Despite the promise that premiums would decrease by $2,500 on average, they've actually increased by almost $3,000, and even much more than that in some cases. It's crushing the middle class and the families of the middle class. It's frankly crushing our country. Obamacare was a big lie. You can keep your doctor, lie. You can keep your plan, lie. It was a lie directly from the president. You can keep your doctor, you can keep your plan. 28 times he said it. 28 times. And it was a lie, and he knew it was. And now it's hurting this country irreparably.
I think that sums up the last hour, comparing Asa, what he's trying to get, out of the government, not supporting it to the left of Mitch McConnell. We had a great talk last hour with Richard Castor. The President of the United States, Donald Trump, speaking the truth there. The obligation that the Republican Party that's run for 6 years on getting rid of this is immense. Now, if they do it, they better actually lower the premium. They better find a way to let market forces lower these premiums. But in order to do that, and I'm going to say this is my opinion, prices have gone up because they're trying to pay for people's health insurance for free. They're not going to go down unless they quit giving away so much of it for free. I feel like that's a basic point that needs to be made. Buy our Liberty Machine t-shirts, paulharrell.com, click on store. That's Paul Harrell, Paul Harrell.com, click on store. We got to end the show. We're going to be here tomorrow, 4 o'clock. Don't miss it, Okay? We got more stuff to get to. Thanks for listening, Arkansas. Be safe.